Hi, my name is Dustin. I'm commonly known as Rain Hater on S2KI, and this video is to talk about the issue of smoke screen behind your S2000, or if you burn a lot of oil and consuming oil at the racetrack. I'll keep it simple initially, and people who want to learn a little more can watch the whole video. But basically, if you have a car that's completely normal condition, meaning that the compression is high, you have no bad valve seals or anything, if you've got a completely perfect running engine and you see oil, smoke, blue smoke coming out of the exhaust system at a track, or maybe you don't see the smoke, but you notice that after every session or autocross you got to add a certain amount of oil to your engine, I've got a solution for you. It's not my solution. Somebody else came up with it on the forums. I simply documented it and trying to just share the knowledge with people so that we can help save engines, because I have had to replace my engine because of this issue. So the main thing here is that the issue is the valve cover, and the way to fix it is to modify the valve cover. A lot of people think that it's the catch can that will save your engine, or you won't have any issues if you just put a catch can on it. The catch can can't do it by itself. The catch can is not the solution. The solution is to modify the valve cover. And I've got a thread on S2KI called the Rain Hater Valve Cover Mod thread, and you can read all about this stuff in here, but for some reason people still seem to think that the solution is a catch can. Believe me, you can get a catch can on this car, and it's going to be, you can get one that could hold well, actually it would have to hold at least a quart of oil. In my experience, Black Hawk Farms, Gingerman Raceway, those are tracks in the Midwest. You will lose a full quart of oil in 20 minutes. That's, what, less than 10 laps? What do you think about the guys who race their cars? They're going to lose more. What's going to happen when you lose all your engine oil? You're going to cavitate your oil pump. Now you're going to fry all your bearings and your piston rings, and then voila. Instead of an F20 in your AP1, you have an F22 4 grand later. So I'm doing this again to help people out and tell them what the problem is. So if you got the issue, just take the valve cover off and modify it. And I have all the steps laid out and how to do it in the thread. You're basically drilling holes in the baffle plate. So what happens is it's always a left-handed turn followed by a right. So what happens is you have enough G-load in the corners, you have to be fast enough. There's no other way to say it. You have to have a fast car and a fast driver in order to make it happen. So you have to have the car go hard left, right? So all your oil is accumulating on this side of the engine, right? Because you've got cams and whatnot rolling around. So with high G-load, you got slicks, you got square tires, whether it's an R compound, whatever, you have to have enough speed and G-load in the corners to allow the engine oil to get stuck in the corner of the valve cover or on this side of the engine. It travels up the side of the engine, believe it or not, and then when you make that quick transition to a right-handed turn, the oil then literally just goes up the baffle plate, up to where these vent holes get their air from, and it literally, whether you have a catch can, whether you're recirculating, it doesn't matter, it'll make its way out of these lines and it'll recirculate. This one normally hooked up to the intake arm would go right through the throttle body, and then it'll just spread, it'll coat your whole intake manifold, just kill the horsepower, as well as this, the PCV, which will also then coat it even more. So if you ever take your intake manifold off and you're like, man, this thing is coated with oil, you know where it's coming from. It's coming from the recirculation of your PCV and your valve cover venting. So the baffle plate literally is parallel with the casting of the block, so it's like this on an angle, right? It's straight to the bottom of the valve cover edge. So the oil literally can climb up the top, and in the corners and the right-handers, it literally will stay right here in this pocketed area. And there's nowhere for that oil to go other than out of these two lines. So to solve the issue, you're basically drilling holes in the baffle plate, but you're not just drilling holes in the baffle plate, because if you drill holes in the baffle plate without removing it, metal shavings get underneath the baffle plate, it's full of oil, it's full of grime that you don't even realize is there until you actually disassemble like 10 of them and figure this out, that you can't get the metal shavings out unless you remove the baffle plate. And I have all the steps on how to do it on the thread. You can read it. If you don't want to read it, that's the only option, because I'm not going to tell you how to do it because it's too thorough for a video. but it tells you what tools you need, how to do it, whatever. If you don't want to do it, I do it. I'll do it for you. Send me the cover. I don't have a problem with that. I want to help save as many S2000s as I can. So the main thing is you're just drilling holes in the baffle plate, and what that does is, you know, the objective is to keep the engine oil in the engine. Pretty common thought process, right? Keep the oil in the engine, you won't blow your engine up. Well, you just drill holes in the baffle plate, and with doing that, whenever you make that hard right-handed turn, you know, normally after a left, doesn't always happen that way. You know, again, the circumstances are always different. When that oil comes to this side and hugs the top of the valve cover and comes to this side where these vents are, instead of its only option to be to come out of the vents, with the holes drilled in the strategic locations, it'll allow the oil to drain naturally back down into the engine, and the engine oil will stay in the engine rather than come out of the vents. Now, this, you know, the solution to doing this helps a lot. It almost eliminates everything. So if you drill the holes, it'll let all the oil come out, and you won't have to deal with any issues. And then when you, if you add a catch can, that helps. You know, the valve cover mod doesn't solve everything. It greatly reduces the amount of oil you get. With the addition of a catch can, at least 1 quart capacity, it'll give you a safety. You know, the valve cover baffling is going to greatly reduce it. You'll have like tablespoons compared to quarts. Talk about the peace of mind you're going to get from that. And then if you add the addition of a catch can, you can not only, you know, see what you're losing, you can monitor, you know, the health of your engine that way. You know, some people rely on how much blow-by you get with, you know, the condition of your engine. You know, that's a much deeper subject that we're going to get into. But the main thing is have a catch can that's got at least a quart. I did that on here. I've got the Psychomichi can. I removed the PCV because I'm forced induction. It's a straight fitting. 2 half-inch hoses to each canister. And then on each canister I have filters, so I'm not recirculating anything. Then there's 2 drain lines underneath, and I have a reserve tank, which is like total overkill, but it was needed to find out what the problem was, down underneath the intake arm, and it'll hold another quart. So there's no way I'll ever have to deal with an overfilled catch can and engine oil all over everything. It's a freaking mess. Working on a car that's got oil everywhere. It's just a freaking disaster. So, you know, doing the valve cover mod, it should be your first modification. If you do the valve cover mod, you know, instead of a catch can, you probably won't even need a catch can for most people. So, do the valve cover mod. Again, if you don't want to do it yourself, send it to me. I'll do it. You know, you can PM me on S2KI. You can find me on Facebook, Dustin Konjerski. I'm pretty open. I share a lot of knowledge. A lot of people have seen a lot of threads I've made over the years. I share a lot of my information, a lot of force induction, dyno numbers, you know, comparison charts. I'm all about sharing the knowledge to people if they want to learn. So all you have to do is listen. I'm just, you know, at this point, reading threads this morning, a little frustrated seeing people post why they need a catch can. These people who give you advice about why you have smoke screen have no freaking clue what they're talking about. Talk to the guy who spent $4 grand to get a new engine in his car because he blew up the damn piston rings because I had no oil lubrication on the cylinder walls because I was cavitating my oil pump. So that's pretty much it.